Tell me about Joe.
Well, Joe was probably, he was probably 21, so was I. Or maybe 20. No, I wasn't. I would have been 19 because I was going to get married. But he didn't. I told him I'm getting married. We didn't even know each other, but we started talking and we talked maybe 2, 3, 4 hours. And it was all about fishing and our lives. And all of a sudden he said, he said, I think I'm in love with you and I think we should just be together. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. His name was Joe. I said, Joe, you gotta be kidding. That's the second Joe that I fell in love with. And but it wasn't about kissing or sex or anything. It was just about falling in love again. And here I am. A half month I'm gonna be married and I'm in love with somebody else. And I've never forgotten his name. I must have like 10 of those. It's so ridiculous. Why did I?
The hopeless romantic, my mother.
I kept falling in love, and here I'm getting married, and then I did. And it was just
apples
fun.
don't fall far from trees.
I know, it was terrible.
Just love to love.
It was identical to the way you acted when you felt you had been dumped by what's his name? No, I can't remember.
E.T.?
E.T., the famous E.T., and you were saying, it's awful, it's awful, it's awful, and you were crying. And
I'll never love again.
I'll never fall in love again. And all of a sudden, this guy walked by that is adorable. I remember he was drop dead gorgeous. And you said, how did you say? He looked up, oh my. And I said, what? And you said, no, that's a guy looking, I don't know, you were.
I think I said, well,
I guess
there's another day, like a Scarlett O'Hara.
Yeah, well, I guess it's another day. That was beautiful.
I think I said something like, I'm never gonna love again.
Right.
And then
said, well, no, maybe I could.
Yeah. Well, he was cute.
We were walking up Clinton. Do you remember?
Yes, and I was crying.
And it was sad.
He cheated on me.
With Ruth.
No names.
Oh, no names. Wasn't it though? I
yes.
Made it up.
Yes.
Oh.
Any other romance tales that you want to share with the future self to watch?
Well, that I married Howard, and probably during those 3 years, just being married to Howard, I probably fell in love about 15 times before we separated. But it wasn't like in love. It was just some things were happening. I was meeting people, and one day I'd like this, and I was like a little girl. That was the same time I was playing hide and go seek with Howard. I'd hide.
You hide from your husband?
I'd hide well, he was so cranky about things, and I'd play hide, so he'd have to find me.
And wait, where did you go hide?
A closet, under the laundry. Once I hid under, I hid it behind the garbage, under the sink.
That sounds funny.
And he would look. No wonder he must have thought I was nuts.
You were playful. That's nice.
It was.
That's why he liked to pretend he didn't know who you were.
And he was very, very cranky about his clothes and his closet, and then he never knew, but I would hide in there. But then before he came, I'd get out of there. I just did it to get even with him because he didn't like anybody in his closet, his clothes closet. His clothes were so meticulous, and he bought a lot because he was good looking. He was well built.
Right. And he was
really a nice guy, but he put up with me.
A little anal, though.
Yes, and according to his daughters, yeah.
Yeah, his daughters said he's an asshole.
Yeah. And they're adorable.
And they said they wish they had you in their life instead of some of the other women that he had introduced.
That's sad. I don't know. Now, that was the first 3 years of my marriage. Then you go on 1 year, and a year and a half later, I meet Daddy.
And how did you meet Daddy?
Just a friend that he went to school with met somebody that, and Joan met him. And Joan met this guy, Wayne, and Wayne said to this student, they both went to the same college, Valley College, and Wayne said to Jean, oh, I met a girl that I've been dating her, and she's got the nicest sister. You're just going to love her. He barely knew me. I had just met him once. I think he took Joan out. You know who? Actually, it was a guy was writing to me, a soldier had been writing to me for a couple of years. One of my high school friends, Daryl, went into the Air Force, and he gave my phone number and address to this guy that lived in Michigan. And he wrote letters to me for a year because he was lonely. He was in Europe, in European theater, in the Air Force. And when he came to Los Angeles, he looked me up. But it's too long a story and too tragic that he was...
But was he connected to Daddy somehow, or you jump stories?
No, he's the one that knew somebody that I think that introduced it. I think. No. Yeah. No.
She's had so much love, she can't even remember where. But didn't you and Daddy have a mutual friend who had a party?
Yeah, and then Wayne asked me to come, and I went with Joan, and that's where they introduced me. And Jean turned and looked at me, because Wayne introduced me as the nicest girl in Hollywood, and Daddy said, if you're the nicest girl in Hollywood, I really feel sorry for you.
That's
Daddy.
Daddy.
I walked away, and I said, well, okay.
And then what happened?
In about an hour, he took the girl that he brought to the party, who he, by the way, had been picked up in Hollywood.
Was she a prostitute or just a
pickup?
A loose lady?
A pickup bar.
Oh, okay.
He picked her up and brought her to the party, and now he took her home. He took her home all of a sudden and came back to the party and said something about, I'd like to get to know you. But the funny thing was, I heard that he was introduced to me as a writer.
He was a writer, right?
He was, but he was in college. He wasn't a writer. He was just a student.
Right.
He was studying writing. They had told him I was a lawyer.
Right, so you guys both thought you were meeting people who were successful.
Who were above our stations.
Oh my goodness.
But it only took one evening.
But what did he say to you when you walked out? Remember, at the car?
The car?
This is the classic story.
He said he'd drive me home. And because Joan knew Wayne, and Wayne did say that Gene was really a good guy, I felt like I could trust him. So we're walking to the parking lot, not wherever this parking lot. The guy lived, I think, in Laurel Canyon, who had the party. And it was an old Chevrolet, a really old car, beat-up car. And he said, there was a beat-up car in the lot. He said, oh my God, look at that piece of shit. He said, that is the worst car I have ever seen. And I always agree with everybody. I said, yes. And he said, get in.
That's
it was kind of like, it sounds like silly.
It sounds like the perfect beginnings of a
the next thing you know,
love story.
He was calling me all the time to go out.
And you lived happily ever after.
Not really. Well, we broke up a couple of times because he was thinking that he wasn't good enough for me.
Right.
That's what
He says
said.
you're
That's
the
what he
most
was
elegant woman in the world.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. And we actually had a pretty good relationship. But then Aunt Sally got involved.
Well, that'll be a tale for another
Yeah,
time.
another time. Another time.
This is pretty good, though.
Oh, but I could have made
The
it.
Many Romances of
It
Sally.
seemed like they just
To be continued.
But no,
My arm will fall off if I continue. So
Besides-
one last
well,
thought.
There are like 10 others that I left out entirely.
Well, we've been filming for 10 minutes, so
And I-
we'll save those for the next
Yeah,
video.
but a lot of them-
Stay tuned.
Yeah. God, when I think about how many guys that I had crushes on, it's really scary. It starts with a boy when I was 11. No, it actually started when I was 4.
Well, we'll get back to that. The Romances of Sally. And scene.
And no, it's like